The betrayal that forced my greatest personal transformation. What if I told you that the worst night of my life was actually the best thing that ever happened to me? I'm Emily, and 6 months ago, I found my boyfriend of 3 years in our apartment with someone I trusted. The discovery didn't just break my heart. It shattered every illusion I had about love, trust, and who I thought I was. But here's what nobody tells you about betrayal. Sometimes you have to lose everything you thought defined you to discover who you're actually meant to be. This is the story of how the person I loved most became the catalyst for the woman I was always supposed to become. And I promise you, by the end of this, you'll understand why I wouldn't change a single thing. Let's go back to where it all started. When I met Ryan at 21, I thought I'd found my person. You know that feeling when someone just gets you? When they finish your sentences and laugh at jokes no one else understands? That was us. Or at least, that's what I believed. We moved in together after a year. Too fast, everyone said. But I was so sure, so confident that this was my forever. Looking back now, I can see all the signs I ignored. The way Ryan would check his phone and angle it away from me. How he'd started working late 3 nights a week. Always on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. The way he'd get defensive when I asked simple questions about his day, but I didn't see it then, because I'd convinced myself that love meant trust without question. That being the cool girlfriend meant never being suspicious or needy or insecure. I'd molded myself into whatever Ryan needed. When he said my friends were too dramatic, I saw them less. When he suggested I was getting a little soft around the middle, I started skipping meals. When he said my career ambitions were cute but unrealistic, I downplayed my dreams. I didn't realize I was disappearing. Piece by piece. Choice by choice. I was working as a junior marketing coordinator at a small firm, making barely enough to cover my half of rent. Ryan was in finance, making 3 times what I made. And he never let me forget it. Not directly. Just little comments. Must be nice to leave work at 5. Some of us have real pressure. The truth is, I was exhausted. Exhausted from trying to be perfect. Exhausted from walking on eggshells. Exhausted from feeling like I was always one mistake away from losing him. But I kept going, because I thought that's what love was. Sacrifice. Compromise. Making yourself smaller so someone else could feel bigger. And then came the night that changed everything. It was a Thursday. October 12th. I remember because it was my best friend's birthday, and I'd left her party early because Ryan said he wasn't feeling well and wanted me home. I walked into our apartment at 9:30 p.m. with Thai takeout and medicine from the pharmacy. The lights were dim, music was playing softly from our bedroom. My first thought was that he'd fallen asleep. My second thought, when I heard the laughter, was that maybe he was feeling better and watching something funny. I pushed open the bedroom door. Ryan was in our bed, with my coworker, Jessica, the same Jessica who'd been over for dinner 2 weeks ago, the same Jessica I'd confided in about feeling insecure in my relationship, the same Jessica who'd hugged me and said, "Girl, he's lucky to have you." They didn't even notice me at first. I stood there, frozen, watching my entire world collapse in real time. The Thai food bag slipped from my hands and hit the floor. That's when they saw me. I'll never forget Ryan's face. Not guilty, not sorry, annoyed, like I'd interrupted something inconvenient. "Emily, this isn't what it looks like," he said. The most cliché sentence in the history of betrayal. I couldn't speak. My body was shaking. My vision was blurring. I felt like I was drowning while standing completely still. Jessica scrambled for her clothes, mumbling something about being sorry, about it just happening, about how she never meant to hurt me. But Ryan sat up in our bed, in our sheets, and said the words that would haunt me for weeks. Maybe if you'd been more attentive, this wouldn't have happened. He blamed me for his betrayal, for his choice, for his complete destruction of everything we'd built together. I walked out of that bedroom, out of that apartment, down 4 flights of stairs and into the street. I don't remember calling my friend Maya. I don't remember her picking me up. I don't remember the first 3 days after that night. What I do remember is the feeling, like something inside me had died. Like I'd been living in a house that looked perfect from the outside, but was rotting from the inside. And now the whole structure had collapsed. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't stop replaying every moment, every sign, every time I'd ignored my gut because I didn't want to be the paranoid girlfriend. The first week was pure survival. Maya let me stay in her spare room. I called in sick to work. I blocked Ryan's number after the 7th text that started with, "Let me explain." But the hardest part wasn't the breakup. It was the shame. I felt stupid. How had I not seen it? How long had it been going on? How many times had Jessica sat across from me at work, smiling, knowing what she'd done the night before? I spiraled through every stage of grief. Denial, anger, bargaining. I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to beg him to come back. I wanted to hurt him the way he'd hurt me. But mostly, I just wanted to understand. Why wasn't I enough? That's the question that tortured me. What did Jessica have that I didn't? Was I not pretty enough? Not interesting enough? Not successful enough? Maya sat with me through all of it. She didn't give me empty platitudes. She didn't say, "his loss," or "you're better off." She just sat there while I cried and raged and questioned everything. Until one night, 2 weeks after the betrayal, she said something that changed my perspective completely. "Emily, stop asking why you weren't enough for him. Start asking why he wasn't enough for you." I looked at her like she was crazy. "What do you mean? He's the one who cheated." "Exactly," she said. "He showed you who he is. A man who blames you for his choices. A man who made you feel small. A man who required you to shrink yourself to make him comfortable. Why would you want to be enough for someone like that?" And something clicked. I started going to therapy. Not couples therapy, not to fix the relationship, just me, working through why I'd accepted so little for so long. My therapist asked me a question in our 3rd session that broke me open. When was the last time you did something just for yourself? Something that made you happy, regardless of what anyone else thought? I couldn't answer. I genuinely couldn't remember. Every decision I'd made in the past 3 years had been filtered through Ryan's opinion. What to wear, where to eat, who to see, what to dream about. I'd been living my life in the margins of someone else's story. That realization was devastating, but it was also liberating. Because if I'd lost myself for someone who didn't even value me, imagine what I could become if I focused that energy on myself. I made a list. All the things I'd given up or never tried because Ryan thought they were silly or impractical. Dance classes. I danced all through high school, but quit because Ryan said it was childish. Writing. I'd always wanted to start a blog, but convinced myself I had nothing interesting to say. Travel. I dreamed of backpacking through Europe, but Ryan wanted to save for a house. Friendships. Real, deep friendships with people who lifted me up instead of draining me. I started small. I signed up for a contemporary dance class at a studio near Maya's apartment. I showed up to the first session, terrified, convinced I'd forgotten everything. But the second the music started and my body moved, something inside me woke up. Something I'd thought Ryan had killed. I wasn't broken. I'd just been dormant. Over the next 3 months, I rebuilt myself piece by piece. Not who I was before Ryan, someone entirely new. I threw myself into dance. 4 classes a week. My body got stronger. My mind got clearer. For the first time in years, I felt powerful in my own skin. I started the blog, Emily's Journal at 23. Just me, writing about the messy process of becoming yourself after you've lost yourself. About healing, about growth, about the lie that love requires you to be less. I didn't expect anyone to read it. But within a month, I had hundreds of followers, women my age, sharing their own stories, telling me they felt seen, that they'd been shrinking themselves too. At work, I stopped hiding. I pitched ideas I would have kept quiet about before. One of them got approved. I led my first major campaign. It was terrifying. It was exhilarating. I reconnected with friends I'd abandoned, real friends who celebrated my wins and held me through my losses. Friends who didn't need me to be perfect or small or quiet. And something unexpected happened. I stopped thinking about Ryan. Not gradually. Suddenly. I woke up one morning and realized I hadn't checked his social media in a week, hadn't wondered what he was doing or who he was with, because I was too busy becoming someone I actually liked. I ran into him 4 months after the breakup, At a coffee shop near our old apartment, he was with Jessica. They looked miserable. Ryan saw me first. His eyes went wide. I'd cut my hair, started dressing in colors I actually liked instead of the neutrals he'd preferred. I looked different. I felt different. "Emily," he said, "you look different." "I am different," I said, and I meant it. He asked if we could talk. "Alone." Jessica looked uncomfortable but stepped outside. Ryan sat across from me and did something I never expected. He apologized. Not a real apology, a performance. "I made a mistake. I've been thinking about us, about what we had." I looked at this man who'd once been my entire world, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not longing, just indifference. "Ryan, we never had anything real," I said calmly. "We had a relationship where I made myself smaller so you could feel bigger. That's not love. That's not even partnership. And honestly, thank you." He blinked. "Thank you? For showing me what I don't want. For forcing me to find myself. You did me a favor, even if you didn't mean to." I left him sitting there, walked out into the sunlight, and I felt free. Here's what I learned from the worst betrayal of my life. Sometimes the people who hurt us the most are actually giving us the biggest gift, not because the pain is good, but because it forces us to confront truths we've been avoiding. I wasn't happy with Ryan. I was comfortable. I was safe. I was small. His betrayal didn't ruin my life. It saved it. Because I would have stayed. I would have married him. I would have spent decades wondering why I felt so empty while looking so perfect on paper. Instead, I got to rebuild. Not from a place of brokenness, but from a place of power. I learned that self-worth isn't something someone gives you, it's something you cultivate in yourself every single day, through choices that honor who you are, not who someone else needs you to be. 6 months later, my blog has 10,000 followers. My dance studio asked me to teach a beginner class. I got promoted at work. I have friendships that fill me up instead of drain me. And most importantly, I have myself back. If you're going through a betrayal right now, I see you. I know it feels like the end of the world, like you'll never recover, like something inside you is permanently broken. But I promise you, on the other side of this pain is a version of yourself you haven't met yet. Someone stronger, someone clearer, someone who knows their worth and refuses to settle for less. Your betrayal isn't your ending, it's your beginning. Use it. Learn from it. Let it forge you into someone unbreakable. Because the best revenge isn't getting even. It's becoming so completely yourself that the person who hurt you becomes irrelevant. That's my story. That's my transformation. And I wouldn't change a single painful moment. Thanks for being here. If this resonated with you, subscribe to Emily's Journal at 23. Share your story in the comments. And remember, you're not broken. You're becoming. I'll see you in the next one.